If you woke up with Jigsaw telling you that you have seconds to find a key before you're butchered, what would you do? In this How to Beat video, we'll follow Amanda and Jigsaw's latest victims, see if we can make better decisions, and ultimately attempt to beat the traps in Saw 3. Think you can do better? Let us know in the comments. Enjoy these How to Beat videos? Like and subscribe. Have a movie you'd like me to cover? Reply to this comment. If you haven't seen my videos on Saw 1 and 2, go check it out to see how all the pain and suffering in this sequel could have been prevented. Jigsaw's games can be a little too intense. I'd suggest playing AFK Arena instead. AFK Arena is a fun tactical RPG where you can effortlessly upgrade your heroes and build your team. AFK Arena is free to play on mobile with more than 60 million users worldwide. The game has appeared in more than 200 recommendations and the best-selling lists in the Apple App Store and on Google Play globally. Unlike other games, experience points gained are not auto-allocated to heroes in combat. You decide which heroes get that sweet XP and can progress. There are 3 other unique aspects of the game's hero and team development system. All serve to ease up the time and energy required for leveling up your heroes. Hero reversion. If you don't need some heroes anymore, you can reverse them to take back all the prior resources you invested. Hero swap. If you have extra heroes you don't need anymore, you can let other heroes inherit its level and star. Hero level connection. The resonating crystal is a special feature in the AFK Arena that allows you to level up multiple heroes to the same level as the 5th highest level hero you have. There are hundreds of heroes from 7 unique factions, each with their own lore, strengths, and abilities. These heroes are earned by fighting through the hordes of evil and proving your worth. Support my channel by clicking the link in the description and downloading AFK Arena today. Use the bonus in the description for a special reward. Let's see if we can beat Jigsaw and his traps for the 3rd time. We start out where Saw 2 left off, with Eric's impulsive decision-making landing him in what is quickly becoming the most rancid bathroom on Earth. Eric doesn't have a game here. On the cassette tape Amanda gave him, she says that he's a test subject for future games. This means that there's no playing along and winning anymore. She will be back soon to rig him up in a contraption to test its lethality. Eric could wait to see if the police find him, but I'm not too confident in Detective Carey's abilities. I think he's on his own. Amanda could be back in a couple of hours or a couple of days. Either way, he needs to be ready to ambush her when she arrives. The gun lying next to him is unloaded, so he's gonna have to do Amanda in the old-fashioned way. He can't ambush her in his current shackled position, which really only leaves 2 options: amputation or pulverizing his ankle bone into dust and slipping his wet noodle of a foot out through the shackle. Tough to say which one is more preferable. I think I'd go with pulverizing my ankle for a number of reasons. Less chance of bleeding out, no need for a dangerous tourniquet that you might have to leave on for days, no horrible infection from using a rusty saw contaminated with the decaying rotten flesh of Lawrence's foot and Xavier's throat, less chance of the old saw breaking off midway into your ankle, and by only breaking your ankle you could potentially keep your foot if you make it out of here alive. Eric opts for amputation. He bites down on his shirt, lines the saw up on his ankle, but gets cold feet and rage throws one of the only ways to save himself across the room. Realizing that there's no other way, and that he absolutely has to get his leg free to save himself and Daniel, he grabs a nearby toilet cover and goes to town on his ankle. Apparently, Amanda left the door unlocked like an idiot, so Eric attempts his great escape. Amanda, did you not think that Eric would use the saw or find a way out of his shackle eventually? He gets the drop on her and clubs her over the head, but instead of going for the kill, he tries to interrogate her to find out where his son is. I'm gonna go ahead and say that this was a bad call. Interrogating your enemy for answers only works when you're in a position of power and they have something to gain. Neither of these are the case. Eric is in an extremely vulnerable and weak state, and Amanda has little to gain by answering him. He'd just kill her anyways. He should also know that Jigsaw's accomplices are fanatical and won't be intimidated by threats. The only way this ends is with Amanda fighting him to the death. Eric should have buried his knife under her jaw the first chance he had, gotten to safety, and had the police conduct a thorough investigation of the building. Amanda uses this opportunity to kick out Eric's broken ankle and drag him back into captivity. Since Eric failed his game and let Jigsaw go, his rampage continues uninhibited. A man named Troy wakes up in a chair with chains chains looped around his jaw, shoulders, arms, hips, heels, and hands. Each set of chains is pulling on him from all directions. The TV turns on and Jigsaw lays out the game.
I want to play a game. Despite all of the advantages and privileges that you were given at birth, you have returned to prison again and again. Break those chains once and for all. Live or die, Troy.
On a desk right across from him, there's a nail bomb with 1 minute and 30 seconds counting down on the timer. I know I'm supposed to be helping Troy here, but Jigsaw should have put the explosive on the other side of the jar if he wanted the nails to explode towards Troy. If we're being real here, the chains looped around his Achilles and through his jaw are not coming out. There is no fucking way you're ripping your own jaw off. You need crazy leverage and power to pull the tendons off the bone and to tear the flesh away completely so that it was fully free from your body. And that's even disregarding the fact that your brain is going to be actively shutting the procedure down. If another person put their foot on your forehead, grabbed your lower jaw with both hands, and deadlifted it with all their might, I still don't think your jaw would come loose, unless it's Brian Shaw or the Mountain. Okay, so we've established that escape is not an option. The only ways to survive now are to deflect and distance the blast or defuse the bomb. The other chains appear to be looped through the epidermal layer only, so ripping these ones out is plausible. With only the jaw and Achilles loop remaining, he should be able to move forward and to the side enough to pull the bomb desk toward himself or use his chair to pull it towards him. Then he can grab the bomb. Since this bomb looks homemade, it's probably a low enough yield that it could be survivable if he tossed it behind the teacher's desk and barricaded himself behind some of the metal desks. Alternatively, he could pull the bomb off the nail jar, put it in a desk cubby, and throw the cubby across the room. I wouldn't try to throw it through the windows, as there's a high chance of it bouncing off or getting caught by the blinds. You're going to be close to the bomb in an enclosed area, so you definitely want to have your mouth open when it goes off. By keeping your mouth open, you allow air to escape your lungs when the pressure wave hits you, so that your innards don't pop like a squeezed balloon. There is evidence that this bomb is survivable. When the police are investigating the crime scene, they pick up a burnt teddy bear that was attached to the bomb, as well as recover the functioning tape from the TV right across from it. This is still incredibly risky, so I would attempt to disarm the bomb first. The bomb looks like an explosive compound with a timer serving as the electric detonator that triggers when the timer hits 0. It looks pretty crude, and I doubt Jigsaw would have anticipated someone trying to defuse it, and so they wouldn't have put in a secondary failsafe trigger. From the looks of it, simply removing the batteries on the front should remove the ability to generate a current. Of course, you'd still want to throw it across the room just in case it wasn't fully disarmed. Troy doesn't try to disarm or deflect the bomb. He hastily starts tearing the chains out before assessing the situation and makes good time, but inevitably can't budge the last ring through his jaw before the bomb goes off. Later that night, Carrie's reviewing Troy's tapes and all the evidence in her bedroom. Eric and Riggs weren't lying. Carrie's obsession has completely hollowed out her entire life. To be fair, I don't think you can just switch it off after seeing everything she's seen, and after Jigsaw had abducted one of her detectives. It's not like she can just hit pause, pretend everything's fine, and go vacating the keys to drunk karaoke Call Me Maybe with her girlfriends. When the tape ends, the channel changes to a live video of Carrie's bedroom. The camera for it looks like it's coming from the closet. Carrie ain't fucking around and blasts it with her service pistol she kept bedside. I gotta give her props for keeping a weapon on her at all times and not hesitating to send lead into the closet before she checked it out. She did only shoot high and center though. If you think Jigsaw's hiding in your closet, you fire high to low and left to right so that you can hit them if they hit the deck or were hiding on one side of the closet. You could also put a bullet in the center top if you played too much Splinter Cell and were extra paranoid. Carrie then goes to clear the closet. Again, props for keeping her gun up and not stupidly holstering her weapon to check it out, like Eric did in the bathroom at the end of Saw 2. Still, this smells like a trap to me. I'd back off and call 911. Pigmask was smart to not hide in the closet anymore. That worked on Adam, but Carrie's way too on edge. Wait, where did Pigmask even come from? There was literally nothing but a wall on that side of the room. Is Amanda also an apprentice of the Ozunu Ninja Assassin clan? Carrie wakes up in what has to be her worst nightmare. I hope you learned something from reviewing all these crime scenes and tapes.
The device you are wearing is hooked into your ribcage. There is a simple key. off the harness, Carrie. But do it quickly. The acid will dissolve the key at the end of that minute. You should know better than anyone what happens then.
Okay, so the mission's clear. We have 1 minute to dunk our hand in a jar of highly corrosive acid to get a key which unlocks or disarms the trap, or we end up like a chest burster victim from Alien. Looking around, there's nothing that you could use the key on that would disarm the contraption. The padlocks on the leather harness aren't going to halt it, and since it's hooked into her ribcage, she can't just undo the harness and pop out. If the acid isn't corrosive enough to disintegrate the key for an entire minute, there's no way it will melt through all the steel-braided cables that will be pulling her ribcage apart. She could try to hold the metal wings closed with her arms and legs, but it would be futile. The hydraulics on this contraption will be far too powerful. I'm gonna go with there's no real way to beat this trap. This isn't a game, it's an execution. Amanda walking in as Carrie's ribs took flight just proves that Carrie didn't have a shot. Amanda would never have let her live even if Carrie escaped the trap somehow. The only way Carrie could have survived is by not getting caught in the first place. But since Pig Mask is apparently a phase-shifting ninja that can pass through walls without making a sound, she didn't stand a chance. Amanda and Jigsaw's next victim is Dr. Lynn. After rolling out of bed with her affair to save a dying kid, Amanda jumps her in the hospital locker room. Lynn then wakes up gagged and tied to a wheelchair in a trapped factory. Compared to Jigsaw's other victims, she could have woken up in a lot worse of a situation. Amanda shows up with her takeout and wheels Lynn over to Jigsaw's homemade infirmary. Jigsaw's not looking too hot. His beatdown from Eric definitely didn't help the cancer. Then Jigsaw tells her the 6 words no woman wants to hear.
I want to play a game.
The collar Amanda's placing around her neck is linked to Jigsaw's heart rate monitor. The second his heart rate flatlines or she leaves this building, the collar will release the spring-loaded hammers which will detonate the 5 shotgun shells directed towards her neck. Lynn has to keep John alive until another victim on the monitors outside completes their test. If the other victim completes all of their tests and John still has a pulse, Amanda will remove her collar and she's free to go. There's a lot of shit that can go wrong here. Based on Lynn's ocular pat down of John, his condition is rapidly deteriorating and he could go at any time. This hospital isn't stocked with the necessary tools, medications, and trained personnel to keep him alive. Even with all this, John might still not be savable. The heart rate monitor could fail or the power could temporarily go out. There's a high probability the other contestant won't win their game. And Amanda's coming across as emotional, unpredictable, and bloodthirsty. She can't be trusted to honor the rules of the game and may kill Lynn anyways. Playing the game is just too risky, so Lynn needs to find a way to disarm the collar and take them all out. Straight up trying to kill Amanda for the collar's key is pretty risky. Amanda will be anticipating this and won't go down easy. Both her and John also might have remote detonators for the collar. Amanda sees Lynn thinking about this option and runs some reverse psychology.
I go for the neck, but I'm not the brain surgeon. He's likely to get upset, rip off his heart rate monitor.
Bury the axe in the base of her skull right now. She won't be able to let out a scream if you do it right. And then you can grab the key, take the collar off, slit Jigsaw's throat, and save your husband who's on the monitors playing Jigsaw's metagame. Actually, I wouldn't trust the key to not activate the collar somehow. Amanda was a little too overt about putting it around her neck. Seems like bait. I would try to disarm it first. There's a number of ways this can be done. Lynn could snag one of the electric bone saws, tell John she's taking a bathroom break and Amanda's out shopping for medical supplies, then try to cut the collar off. It's a bit risky as John will wise up and possibly remote detonate her, or the procedure itself might set the trap off. The least risky method is to try to yank the shotgun shells out of their vices. Shotgun shells are made of plastic and could potentially be squished and jimmied out. If the vices are too tight, she could use any one of the sharp objects in the building to cut open the ends of the shotgun shells and drain the shot pellets out. Even without the shot, there's a plastic wad inside the shell that separates the gunpowder from the shot itself. These wads get shot out too and could easily penetrate her soft neck flesh, so she'd want to put something hard between her neck and the shells to stop the wads. Lynn could also use fabric and tape to cover the primers of the shells or stuff the hammer slot, which will jam it so it can't strike the primer. She can't muster up the courage to drop the axe on Amanda and goes back to tending to Jigsaw. When she palpates his head, she concludes that his brain is herniating and will need to be decompressed with a risky surgical procedure. This is both good and bad news. The bad news, John could die and take her with him. The good news, Amanda needs to be sent off to go get crucial medical equipment. Amanda freaks out at this suggestion, and her tantrum causes John's condition to destabilize. Again, good and bad. Bad, she almost got her head popped off from 5 different directions. Good, because now Lynn's diagnosis was validated, and Amanda can go fuck off to get her the supplies she needs. With Amanda out shopping and Jigsaw pacified with some calming medication, Lynn can use the previously mentioned methods to disarm the shotgun collar, slit John's throat, and make a run for it. Lynn wastes this opportunity by prepping for John's surgery, and Amanda gets back with the supplies. Great, now she has to perform basement cranial surgery at gunpoint. Good going. Hopefully the other victim on the monitors can complete his test in a timely manner. No rush, bro, but we're dead if you don't hustle up. The man wakes up in a wooden crate with a cassette recorder next to him.
Vengeance against the drunk driver who killed your only son. To escape from where you are, you will have to face a series of tests. But with each one, you will also have a chance to forgive. In 2 hours, the doors will lock, and this place will become your tomb.
Jeff smashed out of the crate and finds a box with a picture of himself, a key, and a note saying, "Open the door, Jeff." He wanders down the corridor and finds a door with the words "Face Your Fears" painted on it. Hope you're ready for your first test. He opens the door and finds a bare woman strung up in the middle of the meat freezer. This ought to be good. The door behind him closes and locks him inside, so he won't be able to go back for any useful materials in the corridor. He tries the key on her padlock and the door, but they don't work. That would just be too easy. No, he's gonna need to play the cassette recorder to hear what Jigsaw has in store for him and this lovely lady.
She was the only witness present at the scene of your son's untimely demise. Behind the pipes on the back wall, you will find the key that will free her and bring you one step closer to the man responsible for the loss of your child.
How the fuck did Jigsaw know this? The nozzles start periodically spraying Danica with, I want to say water, but cold water wouldn't kill her that fast. Jeff needs to find a key behind those pipes, which means Danica has to be within seconds of death to up the pressure and intensity. I think she's getting hosed with liquid nitrogen, which means she's only got a couple of spray sessions left before she's iced up like Boris in GoldenEye. The most immediate thing he needs to do is get her out of the nozzle spray zone while the sprayers are active. At her current hypothermic temperature, that liquid nitrogen will start sticking and causing 2nd and 3rd degree frostbite almost immediately. Throwing your jacket around her might help, but it's not as important as getting her out of the way. He could also try to knot the hoses or cover them with his clothing, but I think there's a better option. He could either grab her body and pull her backwards, or if she has the strength, hoist her up onto the beam she's hanging from. Obviously, it's gonna be a bit challenging, but I'm not expecting her to pull some Riddick shit. 2 people working together and having her pull up while using his back as a stand might work. She did say she was so cold she couldn't feel her arms, so swinging her back sounds like the game plan. Once the sprayers turn off, he can go for the key. It's just out of arm's reach, so he's gonna need to grab one of those meat hooks in order to snag it. Or he can freeze his face on a metal pole while stretching his arm out of its socket. Jeff wasted too much time deciding if he wanted to forgive her, and misprioritized getting the key over keeping her out of the splash zone. This neglect was fatal, and Danica gets glassed before he can undo her shackles. At least his failure to save Danica didn't end his game. Jeff leaves the meat freezer and finds another box with a bullet, a picture of his son, and a note that reads, "One bullet will end it all." There's another door labeled "Time to Let Go" with a bicycle and the little Jigsaw doll reenacting what his son looked like after getting hit by a car. Savage. Jeff pushes the door open, which snaps some wires and locks the door behind him again. He should probably start putting some of those 2x4s in each doorway he comes across so it doesn't keep getting locked in. There's a vat with a man chained to the bottom of it with a cassette recorder dangling on the catwalk above.
When the judge presiding over your case sentenced your boy's murderer so lightly, your soul never recovered. You have the power to sentence his soul straight to hell, or you can forgive. The key that will free him is hidden inside your son's possessions.
Okay, so berate the judge that let your son's murderer off the hook until his screams for mercy compel you to forgive him. Then incinerate some dolls, retrieve the key from the ashtray, and unlock his collar. Simple enough. What's the catch? Well, technically Jeff has plenty of time. This trap is more about Jeff's mentality than anything. I'm sure you could sabotage the cow line somehow or plug the gut soup's drain hole with something, but what's the point when all you need to do is push a button? I'm sure it's difficult to let go of your recently deceased son's possessions, but eventually your survival instinct will overcome it. Jeff does about as well as he can be expected to do in this trap, and saves the judge's life. Meanwhile, Lynn is about to start Jigsaw's operation. Before she begins, Amanda walks in and tells John that the other contestant made it through his second test, that he was progressing faster than expected. Lynn has no idea how many more tests the other victim has to go through, or if they will succeed. I'm not sure what's riskier, trying to stall the procedure and putting your faith in the other contestant, or performing basement surgery. I don't think Lynn has much of a choice though. She gives John the local anesthetic, cuts his head skin off, squirts some alcohol onto his exposed skull to disinfect it, power drills some marker holes, and bone saws out a square opening for his brain to expand into a bit. Lynn's a hell of a surgeon for being able to do all this by herself with minimal equipment under the threat of decapitation. Everything seems to be going swell until John's heart rate starts plummeting. Nothing a little O2 can't fix. Amanda's pretty distressed by almost losing her father figure and runs off to do some therapy thigh cutting. I'm guessing Mr. Jigsaw doesn't know about all this? The operation was a success. John seems to be stable, and the other contestant is apparently making good progress. Lynn's sitting in a good spot, but she's not out of the woods yet. John's the only thing pumping the brakes on Amanda's psychotic murderous urges, and his condition is rapidly fading. John's pretty much passed out right now, and with Amanda gone, Lynn needs to use these rare moments of isolation to jam the shotgun caller's hammers and swipe a scalpel she can run across Amanda's neck when she's not looking. Jeff approaches the last room's door. There's another box with a magazine to load his pistol round into, a picture of his daughter, and a note that says, "One step closer to your revenge." Judge Halden then gives him the tired-ass spiel that revenge isn't gonna bring his son back, only make his pain worse. Now, I haven't suffered immense loss and gotten cold-blooded revenge, so I wouldn't know whether or not he's right. Obviously, vengeance isn't gonna bring his son back or fill the void within him, but it isn't pointless. Letting a murderer go relatively scot-free because punishing them won't bring back your loved ones is a ridiculous assertion. You're just allowing bad behavior to run without consequence. I'm not saying Jeff should paint a white skull on his shirt and start murking degenerates or people that made terrible mistakes, but hopefully you get what I'm saying. If some dickhead ran your kid over, got 3 months, and went on with their life like nothing happened, it's understandable that you'd want more retribution. Jeff's final test of forgiveness kicks off when he busts the door open and finds Timothy, the drunk driver that killed his son, in a hell of a contraption. Jeff hits play on the recorder.
The device Timothy is strapped to is my personal favorite. I call it the rack. This device is going to start twisting. To your right is a box. At the back of the box is a key. Are you willing?
Have mercy.
To take a bullet for the man who killed your son?
That's a double-barrel shotgun. Jeff is going to be taking a little more than a bullet when that thing fires. It's still somewhat unclear if letting Timothy die fails this game. I think he needs to get the key to leave this place either way. Based on the message, Timothy seemed like a man that just went down a bad path and made a tragic mistake that he was sorry for. Jeff realizes that he can't let Timothy get murdered like this and heads over to the shotgun box to get the key. Timothy's running out of time though. On the bright side for Jeff, I don't think little Timmy's gonna be driving drunk, let alone driving after this. Judge Halden is just standing around like a clueless moron yelling, "Oh my god," like a teenage girl. He should be attempting to jam the cogs with his clothing or belts, ripping out all the electrical wires he can find, and finding the location where Jeff should use the key to stop the machine. So there's a key dangling in front of the barrel, actually under the barrel, and it's held on by a little screw-off mount. Shotguns, especially longer barreled ones like this, will have very concentrated spreads for quite a distance. It's not like in the movies where a shotgun has a 2-foot spread at 7 yards. If Jeff pulled straight down or unscrewed the latch and took the key, the shot would fire over his hand. You just want to make sure that the judge isn't in the line of fire before grabbing it. or else that will happen. Judge Halden really should have been watching where he was stepping. He knew there was a shotgun that was going to fire when Jeff ripped the key off. Maybe watch the fuck out? Jeff rushes over to Timothy and tries to find where the key needs to go to stop the twister, but it's too late. He did get the key and made an effort to forgive and save all the victims, so I think technically he won. Jigsaw sees that Jeff completed his tests and instructs Amanda to remove Lynn's collar. As expected, Amanda goes full psycho bitch and refuses to play by the rules. Jigsaw then tells Amanda that he knew about her rigging the traps and that this was her test too. Honor Jigsaw's legacy and code or die. Amanda's just too bloodthirsty and sends a round through Lynn's gut. When Jeff had left Timothy's room, he had found another key and a pistol that he could load with his bullet. And when he went down that hallway exit, he arrived in Jigsaw's warehouse just in time to see Lynn get shot by Amanda. Apparently, Lynn was Jeff's wife. Naturally, he opens up on her for revenge and his own survival. Amanda bleeds out from her squirting neck shot, and Jigsaw tells Jeff that his final test is to forgive him for orchestrating all this pain and suffering. He tells Jeff that he can have an ambulance here in 4 minutes to save his wife, or Jeff could kill him and doom them all. Seeing as how Lynn has a shotgun collar around her neck and this whole thing has been about forgiveness and the consequences others reap for failing, I'd take the ambulance option. Lynn's gunshot wound is potentially survivable if he gets help for her ASAP. John's not going anywhere. You can shove your fist down his throat once your wife isn't staring down 5 shotgun shells. Jeff can't help himself and slits Jigsaw's throat with a bone saw. Amanda never disarmed her collar with the hope that winning a Psycho's game would set her free. Her failure to sever her fate from Jigsaw's and her husband's lack of intelligence led to her death. The movie ends with Jigsaw's last tape playing, telling Jeff that he failed his final test, and now he has to play another game to find his daughter before she suffocates to death. I'm not too confident in his abilities right now. He's failed all the other victims, suffering the loss of his son, shell-shocked from just witnessing his wife's head getting blown completely off, and now his only child is held hostage. Are you feeling thankful for being alive yet, Jeff? Let's recap the pivotal points where different decisions could have altered who lived and died. Eric? Well, I've already covered what he should have done in Saw 2. Let's just go ahead and mark him as dead. Troy should have realized that he couldn't have escaped the jaw chain, and instead attempted to disarm or deflect the bomb blast. There's still a good chance he'd have died, but let's just put him at 50-50. Carrie was screwed because she was abducted by a phase-shifting ninja, and her trap was rigged as well. Danica could have survived if Jeff kept her out of the nozzle spray zone. Judge Halden would have survived if Jeff cleared the downrange before pulling the key, or if Halden watched where he was walking. Timothy was pretty screwed as well. I do think Halden could have jammed the cogs or killed the electricity powering the motors, but he still would have likely died from his extensive injuries. Amanda was on a path of self-destruction that would have led to her death no matter what. Jeff and Lynn would have been saved if Lynn disarmed her collar or Jeff waited to execute Jigsaw until they got her collar off. Jigsaw was a dead man no matter if Jeff killed him now or his brain tumor did later. Jeff was always gonna execute him, which would have initiated the game, putting his daughter in peril. His track record for saving lives is pretty bad, so his daughter is likely dead. All said and done, I think we could have beat the traps in Saw 3. Thanks for watching, and remember, taking a moment to assess your situation before acting could save your life.